So all that's about 30 minutes after market opens. So just be careful as far as holding things. There's nothing on the books yesterday. And then tomorrow is PMI for the euro, the pound, and the US dollar. Thursday unemployment claims, durable goods. That Jackson Hall symposium is starting. I think it is on Thursday, which is Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's attended by central bankers. It's a policy symposium. So I don't think anything's going to really come about unless one of the speakers is talking like at on Friday. Powell speaks at 10 o'clock. Harker speaks at 9:40 before him twice at 9 and 9:40. And then Powell speaks at 10. And then Lagarde speaks later on that evening at 3. So when the market is getting close to closing during the symposium. So, Friday could see some weird movement in price. Wednesday and Thursday, we do have some decent news. So I guess as the week goes on, we might get some crazy movements. This little channel on the NASDAQ, we've started breaking out of it. I've got some lines on lower time frames that we'll walk through, I guess. You can see we got down here on Friday, touched that mean threshold, and then popped right back up yesterday. Very strong bull day. Today looks like we're starting out bullish. If we drop into an hourly on that, hang on a second. Sorry. We drop into an hourly on that. You can see we got just below that channel, immediately moved back into it off of that mean threshold, and have just started crushing this week. Yesterday, overnight Sunday, and then into yesterday, and then this morning we just keep pushing higher. It's kind of the next area in which I'm looking at. This dotted line here for this structure to the left also gets to the pretty much the high side of all this buy side liquidity that we're getting into. And I remember saying last week that once we start breaking up, if we continue this break, this should be pretty quick. I don't think it'll be a grind. I don't think it'll look like this right here. I think it'll be more straight up, kind of like what we're starting to do right here. We might get a little bit of consolidation at some point, and then just another break. At least, those are just my initial thoughts on it. Now that we're continuing to move higher. Yeah, I got crushed on that one long yesterday but I think given a little more analysis, probably shouldn't have traded yesterday just because I wasn't able to look at the market all that much. And when I finally did look at the market, it just, it looked pretty appealing. And I saw that happening and I thought, yeah, we'll just go for the continuation. But this was pretty extended, right? This move right here was pretty extended. Probably could have waited through that pullback, but yeah, very deep in the premium. I guess I was thinking we had just taken out that median. We were going to keep going higher, but this wasn't even the median yet. This was actually, it might have actually been the Monday high. Yeah, that we were pushing here. So Um, and that's burnt me. I guess the last few times I've taken a pretty good loss has just been where there was very little analysis, very little dive into the market, and just jumped in based on the plan, right? This is the fair value gap. This is the direction in which that fair value gap is telling me to go, and then just jumping into it instead of really just paying attention to what the market had done prior. Yeah. And and making a more educated guess, bringing in some patience, watching the market. Um, so not not unhappy, but just again, in hindsight, sitting in a classroom instead of sitting, set it and forget it and walk away, and then seeing that, oh well, the market was way up here. Because I didn't even look at it 50. It was like a 5 minute. Like I was just looking at the 5 minute chart, and I just saw that at 10 o'clock. In fact, that's not even a 10 o'clock fair value gap. So there you go. I should not even been looking at that one, I guess. This was the first fair value gap for 10 o'clock. And I would not have gotten tagged until over here, and it wouldn't have been open that long. So there you go. Was it a 3 minute chart? Nope. Again, that's just not paying attention to the market. Um, anyways, that's playing Family Feud with a bunch of 13-year-olds, being like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and trade that. I did get some of it back on this short right here. And then I also made a mistake because I was on my tablet. Yeah, I know, dang kids. Stupid job. Let's jump into. I was on the 1 minute chart. Let's bring in the VWAP. I'll show you. It was a quick short. I was going to take it down to the 1800s. So yeah, it was right in here. It was when we broke free of the VWAP underneath the 21. I kind of just jumped in there. I think it was like 35 or something like that. And I made a mistake. Was it 35? 36? I made a mistake right here. So I was using my tablet. I was using the Rhythmic app on the tablet, and if you've ever used the Rhythmic app, for some reason, when you go to the dome, um, depth of market part of it, you can only scroll so far. Like it won't let you scroll the whole, like all the way down here or all the way up here. Let me just see if I can pull the dome up. Uh, no, they've changed it to where the trading thing. I'm not on a trading, but anyways, I couldn't scroll to where I needed to drop my stop loss in. So I was gonna I took off my stop loss, and I was gonna manually just drop my stop loss into profit. That way, if it came back up, I'd still make some money. Blah blah. But I was holding it for 1800, and I think it was on this candle right here. We had popped back up, and then kind of come back down, and at 14, 18, about 13, about right there, I was manually putting in the stop loss, and I hit buy limit instead of buy market. So buy limit immediately tagged me out because basically I wanted to buy low. Yeah. Fortunately, it was still a 20 something point gain on the trade, and I was out. It popped back up, and I thought, well, that's probably a good place to get out. And then it rolled over. It's like, yeah, that's about right. But 800 seemed to be a pretty good spot for it to get out. One, it was a good round number. Two, we were getting down into this area and structure. So I just thought, yeah, it's probably going to be a pretty good area to get out at. on a decent little trade. I was using micros yesterday, 5 contracts in each, because I was in the classroom. So that was another smart thing. That's another thing that I have been doing is when I know I'm not looking at the markets or not able to watch the markets, instead of using the NQ, I'm using the micros. Um, so fortunately, on this first loss up in here, it was a micro trade. So I mean, granted, it was still about a $350, $400 loss because it was a 35, 36 point loss on 5 contracts. So it was still a pretty good chunk. But got about a little over half of it back in that drop. Probably would have broke even if I had have been able to hang on to it, if I'd have been correct in moving the stop or just left it alone. And then I didn't do anything with it the rest of the time. So taking out London highs here. It's a pretty good move off of London lows. As soon as we open up, pop. Good pullback there. Let's go to 15-minute chart. So this structure line comes from the bottom of this guy. Take this off, take that off. And then let me remove VWAP. Sometimes it just gets in, it's too much noise. So pretty good line here, structure line, got close right there. Monday highs right around it. And also these two areas are just around it or whatever. So pretty good place for price to come back now that we've taken London highs. So I can see a nice little pull back into that area, maybe even a wick below, getting into something right in here. Higher time frame probably shows this as a pretty good down candle that's immediately rejected with an up candle. Probably on a 6 or 8 hour chart, something like that. So price getting down into here maybe, and then a push back up. I'll look at the dollar here in just a second. Pretty good move. I would assume we could get a pullback. I'm not gonna say I'm looking down into here, unless the for some reason the existing home sales or manufacturing news is like just extremely bad. I just don't see that being the case. So I think it might be a chop day, but not a full on bearish day. I don't think for the Nasdaq. Go to the ES. Here's that monthly. So watching watch a little bit of ICT yesterday. His overnight video. He never mentions this monthly fair value gap from what I saw. I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched about half of it and I sped it up a little bit. I don't think he mentions this monthly fair value gap that we've been talking about. And I thought it was a little surprising just because this red line, that's the mean threshold of it. And Friday we got down to it. And he might have mentioned it last week. I don't know, because I think he's put out a couple of videos. But the mean threshold was almost tagged. And from that point on, we're moving up. We do make the lower low here. And then we push higher. And again, I think with this, just like with NASDAQ, obviously, I think we get a pullback, but I don't think it's a bearish day. I don't think it's a horrible bearish day. These highs, and then I've got this line up here, which we could probably drop a line. No, I don't want too many on there. I got one just above it right there, too. I'll put buy side right here, though. I'm taking London highs, but we could definitely have one more little surge up into that buy side liquidity there. And then we might see a little bit of a pullback, like maybe into the Monday high. Um, Maybe into some of this right in here, the top of this fair value gap. I don't think we're coming back down into it fully. I don't really have a good read exactly on what the day is going to do just because we made a pretty good push up. We do have buy side liquidity here. Um, Inefficiency above it for sure. A little bit here and there, all the way into this structure. But just because we know the market's not going to go straight up, so I don't see this continuing the way it looks right now. I see this maybe a little bit higher into that buy side, pretty good pullback, and then possibly staying inside whatever range it puts in. And then tomorrow it makes its decision whether it's going to go bearish or long, or continue. I think we continue this week. Next week's news, I think it's CPI. Yeah. GDP on Wednesday. Tuesday is JOLTS. Thursday, PCE. And then Friday, non-farm. Yep. So next week's a pretty good news week. So, and then the week after that is CPI. Our CPI is not next week. Looks like just about everybody else's is though. Like we've got JOLTS on Tuesday, nothing on Monday. JOLTS on Tuesday. ADP non-farm employment change with the GDP prices coming out. Then PCE unemployment claims on Thursday, and then non-farm on Friday. Week after that, after Labor Day, that's when we have no, we don't have CPI on that week either. CPI is coming out the September 13th. That's weird. It's usually the week after non-farm or within, yeah, I want to say it's within a week. The following Tuesday, the Wednesday, something like that. Either way, yeah, non-farm's a little early just because Wednesday is not even September yet, and usually it's the first week of the month instead of just like the first day. But maybe that's because we got a holiday coming up the following Monday. I don't know. So weird couple of news weeks as far as when that news is coming out. Next week with Jolts and non-farm and stuff, that'll next week will be a newsy kind of a week. Um, so we could see just a kind of a chop in that area. If price continues to slow here, then look for a pullback. We got a little bit of inefficiency here, plus structure right there at the Monday high. So work it back down. And then buy side, then we could see lower lows right in here overnight. That's a possibility because we're generating some liquidity right in here right now on the lower time frames. I still would like to see buy side taken out before it makes that move down though. In Q, Yeah, let's look at the dollar. Pretty good recovery after that loss overnight. Stretch this out. It's kind of weird to see the dollar breaking out above this wedge and then also seeing the NASDAQ. No, that's not the same at all. The NASDAQ and the ES breaking out at the same time in the same direction. So something's definitely got to give there. You would assume. Let's drop into the hourly. Yeah, something. And it might not be this week, it might be next week with all the news. We did take these lows out. I do like this structure still. So maybe the dollar is just, you know, grabbing liquidity, fixing inefficiency, and then before it makes its larger move down into structure, back into this wedge. Never know. Before the news next week. 4 hour real quick. I'm actually going to take that off. Leave this here, this here. Pretty good line there. So we could see, depending on what it's doing right here, holding that 50 for one, but a little pop out of the dollar, which would give us that pullback today at some point. But I don't see this continuing. I think there's more downside to have gotten. This is just going to be, kind of a reach in here for a lot of that liquidity and then possibly a pullback down in the structure. Yeah. I'm going to drop a buy side liquidity line on that, though. Give something to look at there. It's a little bit closer than this one. I think this one's going to be stronger. We do break above, push through this. If it doesn't really pay attention to this, then it's obviously headed for this guy. A little more strength out of it. The reason a little more strength out of this compared to that one is because this high, right there. This was a lower low. So that's the reason I think this draw from here is going to be stronger than this one. Now that I've zoomed out and saw that, I don't care about this one as much anymore. That's probably the reason why I had it this way, anyways. So it's really kind of also the same reason why once we broke here, we got above this high, we had that pullback. A lot of liquidity resting right there. So until we really start having momentum. And this isn't bad, but it's not momentum. This is momentum, right? This is just kind of a grind. And honestly, there's a lot of liquidity sitting right here below here. This right here is not liquidity. This is just inefficiency. Price can come back here at any point in time. Liquidity to me, inefficiency is where price just needs to come back at some point. It doesn't have to be anytime soon. Liquidity, on the other hand, to me is what, you kind of like, if you, let's say you're running, and you're getting drained of your stores or whatever, you need to have those electrolytes replenished. So you get whatever drink you can get, liquid IV, Gatorade, whatever it is, right? And that kind of is what the pullbacks into liquidity are for me. And then they have that extra energy to push. Whereas these are just areas in which price eventually can come back to, but look how long it takes it to, right? Liquidity is usually a quick drop, whereas inefficiency is just kind of a, when we get there, we get there, if we get there. We'll eventually get there, but it doesn't matter when. So liquidity is just like, this is all I got. So I got to come back down and get more so I can make that better push. And depending on how big this drop is into this liquidity, to me, the higher the push eventually later on. That might have been a crap analogy, but okay. That's just kind of the way I see it. Um, so like this right here, pretty good liquidity. So if we do see the dollar pop into it, it's going to be a quicker move into this, but it might be just to push it back down, right? I just need a little bit of liquidity to get me down here. And then this down here gets me up here, you know? So maybe dollar strong early. Go to an hourly on that. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And I mean, you can probably look back through the charts and just kind of see how that happens all the time, right? This long drawn out process, look how quickly it went through it. This right here, look how quickly we kept dropping through it. This was a pretty good move above this liquidity here. Wasn't very fast, but it wasn't, slow. You come back through here, you see this built up liquidity on the top side. Look how we had to come get some to get us down through here. And then once we got down through here, we slammed and then pushed all the way back up pretty quickly above this guy. And then we just kind of drug out through that inefficiency. But we had that liquidity starting to build. How quickly we got down to it. Built up that liquidity here, pushed quickly above it, and then we just started dragging back down through that inefficiency. And then we reach these little areas and pockets of liquidity, and we have these surges. So let's go in a 15-minute chart and look at the dollar here. To get a better idea what this morning might look like. So pretty bullish move right there, of course. Little line here. We might see the weekly in the Monday high possibly. Gotten below this area. Is this on? I don't have it. Okay. So if the dollar is going to remain bullish, give me a little bit and then another bull push up a little bit, another little push up. And then I'd like to see us drag back down into this, right? I don't think the dollar is going to be like extremely bullish. There's really no reason for it to be bullish as far as um, news goes on either side, bearish, or bullish on either side until tomorrow. PMI tomorrow will determine a lot of what the dollar is. So today might just be a range day inside the Monday range. Get up into this area, push down, back up, and just stay in that range. And I think that's, kind of what we're seeing with, what's happening with NQ and the ES, right? We've gotten to some pretty good highs. We're slowing down. Probably could get, yeah, a little up, a little down, right in here, right in here. It's definitely, I don't think it's going to be a 20, 30 point day by any means. Um, I mean, you might get this is NQ, so you got 100 points since London, right? It's a pretty good range. We could definitely go a little bit higher, but um, I would probably assume that we're going to be stuck probably inside this 100 point whatever. You might get a couple of surges that might get you here, but then I think we end up inside whatever the London is. Same way with ES. I don't think we come real low, but we're probably going to pull back and just hang out. Yeah, it could be a scalping day, Fred. So it might not be a good day for me just because I'm not going to be in that. I'm not going to be watching it, very well. Although now I have a pretty good idea. Sorry. But now that I've, analyzed the market a little bit, I have a little better idea. Looks like we're getting that little pullback. Let me take. Yeah, I'm not. No reason to be taking a trade. Yeah, I think that might be it for me today. Decent analysis though. Got a decent little view of what the market might be doing today. And then, like I said, it's going to be a little flashes of news here and there the rest of the week, but not until Friday when Powell speaks. So, thank you, Fred. Appreciate y'all being here. And then I'll be back at it tomorrow. So y'all have a good rest of the day. Be safe, and I'll see you then. Yes, sir. Oh, that's all right, Chris. Well, hey, be careful. Be careful on your travels.